Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials. Now, here are your hosts, Lady Abba and Lord Knight.
So, Lord Knight, I think it stands to reason
that I have way too much time on my hands.
Well, we both do to some extent. I don't know, maybe me less. I fill my time with too much. But I think it stands to reason that since the dawn of what we consider to be celebrity, people have been worshiping pop culture. Whether it's a performing artist.
I'd go back all the way to the Roman times.
Oh, sure.
And you would buy the oil that they bathed of your favorite gladiator.
Gladiator, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So again, this has been going on from time to immemorial.
Yeah, you're right. Well, not really. It's been a long time. Yeah. You have, whether it's sports figures, whether it's, Hollywood actors,
right,
musicians, singers, yeah. But the more modern we become, the worse it gets.
Yes.
So much so that I think every single person, if they're being truly honest, can remember a point in time where they had enough love or obsession with a particular person that they effectively worshipped them. It was idolization.
Yes.
And usually, right, we grow out of it. We just grow up.
You move on.
Get older and you go.
That music goes out of favor,
right,
or that TV show, or
you just kind of realize it was something you did as a kid because that's what kids do. Okay, and maybe in some instances, right, it does carry through, especially with sports. I think with men, there's definitely
there's a love for, especially love for their team.
Yeah, longer standing relationship, but never before has it been so widespread where we're seeing people try to create deity intentionally off of pop culture figures.
Yes.
And more importantly, this is the one that kind of weirds me out, things that aren't even real.
No.
Cartoon characters.
Yes.
And video game characters and artworks and, conceptual or people that are dead.
Yes.
And to try to literally worship them, idolize them enough that they effectively become a god.
They are deifying this person.
Yes. But intentional. I mean, literally with pagan structure as a means for it in some cases.
Here's what confuses me, and especially when you're doing like actresses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are they worshiping the character or are they worshiping the actor?
See, that's what I mean. I think back in the day, it was more about the actor. It was about the individual. What we're seeing now is character driven. I mean, there are literally people out there who think that Scarlett Johansson as her character in Marvel.
Right.
Right. That the Marvel character as Scarlett Johansson could be a goddess.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa, what?
Right.
Now, this gives me pause.
So you have people out there who are trying to worship Loki from Marvel movie.
Not Loki as we know him from Norse mythology. But from a movie. So here's my thing.
Excuse me, I'm going to go stab myself in the eye.
Oh, don't do that. Not yet. But there's a fundamental problem here. We have long said that part of the faith in a god, that part of what makes God God, is people's acknowledgement. It's the worship.
Their perception.
Adoration, remembrance. Right? As long as we keep them alive, they are alive.
Yes. So again, you have this problem of this could be,
Well, are these people right? Are they effectively creating a deity?
Well, I mean, we've talked about deity being more of like a skin.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, are these characters and stuff like that, is there enough there to actually have a moral structure? How's it going to affect the religion? Are they incorporating that mythology into their beliefs? Or are there people going around thinking that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a real goddess?
Well, that's what I mean.
And there are real vampires out there.
Well, so hold on a second. So, all right, let's talk Buffy. Why not? I love her.
I mean, I love it too, but...
In many ways, we could look at a character like Buffy and go, is she not Diana? Is she not the Huntress?
Right.
Maybe even it's not a huge stretch to say that the people who created the character used an aspect of a goddess like Diana as
part of the character.
Yeah, as inspiration. But then, if you have people who literally view Diana as Buffy...
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of okay with that.
It seems strange. And yet, your first, and again, first instinct on seeing this is, I don't like it. There's something about it that rubs me the wrong way.
See, that's funny. I don't totally mind it because I feel like, look, we don't know their name, we don't know their faces, right? We don't know. All we can do is guess. So if you want to take Sarah Michelle Gellar's face,
but again, I'm like you, but in my head, but yes, there's a feeling I get. It grades me.
Understood.
All right. Now, I'm not saying that's a logical thing, but in my head, yes. These people, you're allowed to believe whatever you want.
But I don't think that Diana, the actual goddess, I don't think she's going to take offense. I think she's going to be like, yep, sure. You're doing what you've always done.
Right.
You are seeing me as you see me, as people. You are trying to give corporeal, tangible means of understanding to something you cannot. Okay, cool. Okay. Now,
but from the way you're saying this, they're not just viewing Buffy the character and as
no, like I said, that's the part I'm okay with.
Yeah,
that's the part I'm okay with when you're kind of overlapping, like a character with a pre-existing god from
you're
whatever
just
pantheon.
Using their form to Okay, no problem.
But what we're seeing is people who are taking characters from make-believe places and going, I'm going to worship them. So whether it's a Disney princess or a anime character, take your pick. I don't know anime, but you get where I'm going with this. I mean, like I think of like the Airbender.
Yeah.
Or
which I've seen a lot of people actually starting to do some practices based on that.
Based on the last Airbender. Or even like a creature, like an utterly make-believe thing, like a Pokemon.
Okay, now you say all that. Now I'm going to throw something out there just to keep us all muddied the waters, okay?
Oh boy.
But yet we have no problem sitting there imagining dragons and fairies and...
I know.
I mean, we have mythology. We follow so much mythology on fairies and stuff like this.
I know. And that's my point. Like...
I mean, my only question is how are they getting, especially if it's a story. I mean, I know we use Buffy as an example because I remember them did the, back in the day, they did the circle casting, the quarter calls with Buffy, and that was cute.
Look, imagine 1,000 years from now, someone finding someone's Pokemon collection and not knowing what it was. They would think these were depictions of gods.
Wait a minute.
Right? They all have powers. They all do like Pikachu could become Thor. I mean, it's really funny to think of, but it's logical.
Lord Meehan told me a story about this a long time ago. So some archaeologists are out one day doing some digging. And they keep on finding these temples, and they're all over the place. They're these little mini temples. You walk up to it, you do some stuff, you do some prayers, you get something out of it, and then you go along your way.
No.
Wait, and the name of the god was Atium.
ATM.
In 1,000 years. You with me?
It makes sense that these things that are part of our modern society.
I'm not trying to be mean, but these special symbols they see in some of these temples and stuff, they're like, oh, this means that it was this. And it could have meant it was the bathroom.
There's so many possibilities. There really are.
Right.
But okay, we can understand how future man could potentially mistake.
Right.
But here we are in the time of that franchise, that item.
Right.
And people are saying, why wait?
What?
Let's make them a god now. And I go, I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, look, if somebody kind of stepped forward and said, I have created the Church of Pikachu, I mean, what are we going to say?
No,
you're wrong?
No, I'm asking questions is, how's this actually going to work?
But it could.
I mean, I guess you're following you're going to be following the philosophies that they teach in the stories and not.
I've heard some people go so far as to say if it's Pokemon, Ash becomes an apostle.
Okay.
And I'm like, holy crap, that actually makes sense.
Yes.
It's wild, but now here's the other part of that. At what point is it spiritual psychosis?
When does it become a problem?
When does it become either a psychotic break, a mental disorder, a delusion? Because here's the thing. If somebody really thinks it out and wants to create the Church of Pikachu, and they create tenets and laws and a structure for worship and
the whole 9 yards.
I mean, okay, you've got yourself a church. If you can find other people to adopt those beliefs,
you're a church.
Go forth.
And
I mean,
prosper. And
I guess, yeah, like we can't really go, you're wrong.
Because again, we're doing the same things. Everything's based off stories and stuff that
Yes. Exactly. So why is that so far-fetched? But on the other hand, we have people right now on the web who are like, Pikachu talks to me and tells me what to do spiritually. So, yeah, when does it become a problem? When is it potentially dangerous?
I guess that's my question. Is I guess when the behavior becomes more harmful, or the religion becomes more harmful than it does anything else.
But spiritual psychosis, everybody's talking about it. And people are, in many cases, misdefining it. Or I think that the definition of what it means exactly is a little too broad right now.
So I guess that is a good question. What do they mean when they say spiritual psychosis?
Well, at the moment, let's see what we get here. Behavior. Okay, so right now, Google is saying spiritual psychosis is behaviors and thought patterns expressed during spiritual emergencies and psychosis, exemplifying a loss of rational thought. Such symptoms include disorganized behavior, irrational or confusing speech patterns, and significant alterations in the way a person views themselves and their place in the world. I mean, the loss of rational thought is an interesting point, but I mean, again, we're back to religion's not rational.
Well, again, when you're hitting to this, I think what in the world you got is you got a stalker then.
Of deity?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Could that be it? Could someone be out there trying to stalk Buffy?
That's a really interesting point.
Could this be where in the world it could wind up leading to is because you have access to these people.
But what if it's a character? What if it's a make-believe, somebody thinks that Cinderella is their goddess and they are actively...
Well, again, there's your problem. How do you tell where because again, you could look at what we do and go, hey, look, they're having a psychosis.
Well, I guess it comes down to is what is deity telling you to do? And is it problematic?
Is it sitting there telling you to kill the neighbor's dog?
And that's my point, because spiritual psychosis can happen to anyone in any religion, and that's the idea. If your God is telling you to do something that's harmful
to yourself and to others,
that's a problem.
Right.
But on its surface level, is there anything wrong with somebody, deciding that
considering how many times
a comic book character is going to be their god?
But again, for as many times as I've sat here and said, I cannot judge other people's religions. I can't judge them. I'm not denying the fact that there's not a visceral gut reaction to it that just rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
All right? I don't know what that is, and I'm not blaming them, but that's just me. There's just...
Well, I tell you what. I think we're going to get a cup of coffee, and then we're going to talk about another aspect of this.
Okay.
Because what happens when you decide you want to marry your deity?
God.
Yeah. Let's get you some coffee first. So there's another fun thing circling the internet in relation to faith and deities and all this stuff we always talk about.
You sure we can't convert?
To what?
I don't know.
Oh, dear. So the term godspousing is running around.
Yes.
So apparently people are
marrying their deity.
And then claiming to have very intricate, detailed relationships
with said deity.
As spouses. I don't understand this.
Wait a minute. I'm just going to bring this up. Nuns.
I was going to say, this is not... Okay, so on one hand...
I mean, I see a difference between the two. Mainly it's the
level of interaction, I think.
Yes.
There is... Godspousing, yes. It was never called that to my knowledge prior, but yes, it has existed for a long time in other faiths, but I always saw it as a symbolic thing.
Right.
A nun is marrying Christ and saying, I will not take a husband, I will not have relations with a man, I will not form a bond of that nature because I'm committing myself to Christ. But they understand that they're not really married.
They're not going to roll over and just see Christ in their bed going, oh, hey, honey.
Well, my point is, like, if we look at it from a government standpoint, that nun is not able to now claim head of household in a married...
True.
You can't file joint with Jesus. That's not happening. That's kind of funny, but...
What happens during the divorce?
Right. But yes, you are ceremonially doing this. I could see someone committing themselves to a pagan deity in this fashion.
I could see this. I don't have a problem with it with the way we're describing it, like with the nuns and all this, all right?
But there are people who are saying that these relationships are more than that. There is deep communication. There is compromise. They are describing these relationships the same way you would as either a couple or maybe like a long distance relationship. And they claim that deity speaks to them in a very deliberate fashion. I can only assume that to achieve this, we're either talking about incredibly deep meditative states. Or we've got...
some drug induced.
Yeah, there's some kind of hallucinogenic or something substance altering your perceptions. So...
Or could we just be batty?
Well, I think it comes down to why. Like, why is somebody doing it? Because on one hand, if you're just saying that, a goddess showed up and was just like, hey, we're going to get married now, and you're going to do everything I say. Nope.
No.
I don't see that. I don't see that as realistic. I don't think that that's how that would happen.
For some reason, I keep on getting flashbacks of Disjointed.
Oh, that's funny.
Where what's his name married the goddess of pot.
Right. I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. That's really funny, though. It's a great show. I wished it had gotten more seasons.
Yes.
It was such a great show.
But again, this is what people are talking about, that this is what's going on.
Yeah. And I mean, on one hand, I'm like, well, if it doesn't hurt anybody, it's not really a big deal. One of the ironies is that most of these people say that their spouse, God, allows them to see other people. So they're in a polyamorous relationship with a deity. I think that's funny. But I think what concerns me is if somebody's doing this and it's a way for them to disassociate from
society?
Well, from creating a bond with another person. Could
it be a protective, so I don't get rejected?
That's what I mean.
I am so scared of being rejected, so therefore I...
Could be fear of rejection. It could be trauma, right? There's any number of things that could create it. But if somebody's using this as a way to not address
an issue,
then that's a problem.
And it needs to be handled by professionals in a...
Yeah, because it's no longer a spiritual matter.
No.
Then it really is something that requires mental health.
You know, now when you're sitting there, but are you going to sit there and tell that person that's sitting there going, hey, you know what? Me and Lucifer the other day was at dinner, and are you going to sit there and really look at them going, darling, I think you might need some help?
That's where it's kind of wild. As we both have experienced, we have both had pagans tell us some pretty wild stuff.
It takes a lot to surprise us.
Yes. But we've heard some things that have given us pause, and we've always had to take it with a straight face and go, okay, well, if that's their experience, that's fine. But this... Where I also get concerned is this. If you have a temple or a group, potentially, and someone believes that they have spouse bonded with a particular deity, at what point does that individual start saying, no, you've got it wrong. That's not what he or she said, or that's not what they meant. Or basically, they start translating or speaking on behalf of the deity.
And they're doing it as if this is pillow talk.
Yeah.
Which makes it even just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't...
That's concerning. That could also be the beginning of, in the right circle, that could be the beginning of a cult or the beginning of... Yeah, just some sort of nefarious kind of plan, you know, of how to manipulate other people.
You know, well, I don't believe all cults actually always start out as an intention to manipulate someone.
No.
I think some of them start out with 100% good intentions, and it just devolves into that.
I think so, too. I think that happens a lot. So, I mean, it's happening. And again, I feel like the age of the internet is part of the thing here. Is it real? Is it as prevalent as it's being made out to seem? Or is it just that, unfortunately, folks who maybe are predisposed to a mental condition
tend to lean this way?
And they're rather loud on the internet because they don't believe that there's anything wrong. We have to at least scrutinize it a little bit, though,
you know,
I think.
If it's starting to be overused, you with me?
As a crutch kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is it losing its potency?
Right.
You know, like we were just saying, it's about like the Nazi word. Because everybody's using it, it's kind of like, okay, well, everything's a Nazi now.
Well, everything is a buzzword now, right? So, you know, one person does something about it, and everybody's talking about godspousing. I mean, here we are talking about it, but I think we're talking about it kind of curiously more than anything else. Again, I would love to hear some thoughts, opinions. Has anybody done this? What is their experience like?
You know, are we misinterpreting what we're hearing?
Yeah.
I mean, we could.
Absolutely. I mean, look, again, we're back to everybody comes to the table with biases, whether they mean to or not. And I can say for myself, if someone were telling me about this, if I had never done any research on it or heard of it, nothing, and somebody said, yeah, I'm married to a deity, I don't know that I would listen much beyond. My brain might actually temporarily shut off to the idea because I would just be going, this can't be.
No, but for some reason, every time I hear that, all I keep on thinking about are nuns.
Yeah.
And that it's not a strange practice. It's just, it's this intimate relationship with.
Right. I think we find it so bizarre because it's non-corporeal. Look, it's not unusual for a priest and a priestess to be symbolically married inside of circle, but are we? No. But we know that, but at the same time, the relationship and the way priest and priestess sometimes operate together, it is very marital.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, we understand that, but the fact that we're both living, breathing beings makes it a little easier
to navigate.
Yeah. It's difficult when you go, oh, okay, this other person is without a body.
Right.
That's, So, I don't know. But I mean, I think it's something we're going to hear a bit more about potentially in the near future. So we should keep an eye out.
Maybe something we might have to cut off, but how does this interact with incarnation? And again, if they're picking a normal a Zeus or something like that, what are we talking about jealousy with the other gods and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It seems like there's a lot of potential for drama in that relationship. And I feel like that's where it could be difficult on the human brain and emotions as well. I mean, that's a lot. It's a big burden.
Yeah.
When you think about it. And I almost go, why would anybody commit to that? Because it really is. That's an intense commitment.
Yeah.
Especially when we look at our tradition and go, we kind of do the year and a day trial run.
Yeah.
Do we get to do that with deity? I don't know. I don't know that, I don't know that a Greek, deity would be all that amused by that. They might be like, no, this is permanent. Well, perhaps I don't want to go that route.
I mean, but again, how would you feel if your toenail said, hey, I'm going to marry you one day? And I don't mean to keep on putting it that way, but our view of the relationship between us and deity.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's almost, it takes a hell of a topic for us to be speechless. And this is one of those. It's like we have to not only have some more exposure to it and some understanding of it, but potentially meet people who have had the experience. Someone's going to write a book, or at least I would hope.
At some point, I'm sure. If it's not already being written.
Yeah. Well, I will be sure to read it with coffee.
Okay. You want coffee?
Of course I want coffee.
You had to ask.
You don't have to ask. Just put the cup in front of me. I'll drink it.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning.